Hey guys, Corey here with IceOutdoors.com. We're here today to do a review on a website called Deerlab. This is going to be kind of a tricky review on my part because ordinarily when we do a product review, I can actually hold the product in my hands and show it to you guys and while we do the review and explain a little bit about it. Being that Deerlab's a website, we're going to have to get kind of creative with how we get the camera set up to where you guys can see the computer screen, and I'll show you guys around Deerlab and hit on some keynotes and things that I think you guys will like about Deerlab and what they can do for you. Deerlab is a website that you're going to upload your trail cam pictures to, and then they've got several tools within Deerlab that helps you organize your pictures, filter them. It tells you certain times that certain deer are showing up in specific areas. You can do profiles on it. Say you've got a specific deer that you really want to key in on. You can do a profile on that deer, and it tells you what cameras he's spending most of his time in front of, what times of day, what conditions. They'll figure in. Deerlab figures in humidity, cloud cover, wind direction, wind speed, barometric pressure. There's all kinds of cool stuff that Deerlab does, and it's all based off of your information strip. The results that you can get out of Deerlab are just phenomenal. When Deerlab contacted Ike about doing a review and Ike offered it to me, boy, I jumped at it because I've been intrigued by companies like Deerlab for a while now, and I am borderline obsessive compulsive when it comes to being organized. I hate having stuff unorganized, and my trail cam pictures always drive me nuts because I get a bunch of pictures and then I try to organize them. I got several folders on a computer. I'm trying to, when you start trying to figure out when is this specific deer showing up or what conditions or what, it gets overwhelming. So to have a tool like Deerlab that does all that work for you and keeps everything really organized, it's invaluable. So I think you guys will like what we show you. We'll get into, you can do profiles, like I said, on specific deer. You can do filter. You can filter your pictures, and what that'll do is, let's say you like most of us you're limited on the amount of time that you have available to hunt, whether it's work obligations or family or whatever. If you can just squeeze one day or maybe a half a day of hunting in, and you're wanting to figure out when is the best time for me to spend that half day in a tree, you can do a filter on Deerlab, and it'll go in and you'll put in a certain time, say 5 a.m. to noon or something like that, what the conditions are going to be like, temperature, all the other stuff that I mentioned, and it'll bring up pictures that fall into that criteria. And so what it'll allow you to do is, if especially those guys, like I said, that are limited on the amount of time that they get to spend hunting, it'll help you figure out what sections of a day or what parts of the week or whatever you're seeing the most activity, so that you can focus your limited hunting time now into a high percentage time based on the information you've given Deerlab. So it's a really cool tool. No doubt in my mind that anybody that hunts can benefit from it. As far as the memberships go, I'm not going to get into prices or anything like that, but there's two ways you can go about it. You can do a monthly, pay monthly, or you can pay annually. And either way you go, whether you decide to go monthly or annually, there's a handful of different packages that are available, ranging from the cheapest, all the way. The cheapest I think's limited to maybe one property and limited number of cameras, limited number of pictures, all the way up to the highest price packages, unlimited properties, unlimited cameras, unlimited number of pictures and stuff like that. And then they've got several in between. So they got a package that can fit just about everybody's needs. With that being said, I think I've talked enough about Deerlab, so we'll move the camera around here and get on the computer and let you guys look at it, and I'll show you around the site. Okay guys, as you can see here, I'm logged into Deerlab. Once I log in, put in my password, this is a screen that it brings up, and it's going to show you I've got two properties saved on here. The first property is called Martin's. The landowner of that property's last name is Martin, so I just saved it as his last name. And the second property is Buck Branch. In my opinion, for the way I'm going to use it anyways, I didn't see any need to upload all my pictures that had pictures of does and turkeys and coyotes and stuff like that, because really what I'm wanting to pattern is bucks. And so rather than use up the available number of pictures I can save to Deerlab with a bunch of pictures of does and stuff like that, I just uploaded the pictures of bucks. But you guys could use it however you want and upload whatever pictures you wanted to. So let's go over here to Buck Branch, and we'll just click on the cameras tab. And this is going to bring up the 3 cameras that I've got saved on this property. As you can see over here, camera 1 is that's the name of the first camera. Lane is the name of the second camera, and Northfield. Again, if you look over here, 36 pictures, 9 pictures, and 17 pictures. Clearly, that is not all of the pictures that I've got off of these cameras. They're just the number of buck pictures I had on the SD cards that I grabbed to do for the video. So over here, all 3 cameras on this property are Moultrie I-45s. And if I wanted to add a camera, what I would do is I come over here and click the add a camera tab. And here I would name that camera, you know, like I said, Northfield, Lane, whatever. And then down here I would click on this and have my drop box here, and I go through and I'd select the manufacturer of my camera, and then in this box over here I would type in, you know, I-45 or M80 or whatever the camera is. Another thing, once you do that, you'll come over here on your property, you'll find where that camera's at, you'll click and it'll drop an icon, and from there you'll upload pictures off of an SD card that was out of that camera, so you'll know that those pictures were taken at that location. You can also, if you want to enter your camera location by GPS coordinates, you can do it that way. Another cool feature that I need to show you guys, and it's not going to show up much on this property, is Deerlab said that they had a bunch of requests for a topo map. A lot of guys were wanting to see contour changes and stuff of that nature, and so now if you come up here in this little icon in the top right hand corner and you hover over it, it'll bring up this little box here. You can go down here and click topography. It'll change it to a topo map. As you can tell by looking, my property is a very flat property without much in the way of contour changes. It's farm country, guys, so it's flat. But for some of you guys that hunt in hilly terrain and you're wanting to see ridges and draws and saddles and stuff like that, without a doubt the topo map is a definite useful tool that you guys, I think, will benefit from. So it's really cool of Deerlab to add that feature. And well, if you want, we'll go on up here now, and I'll just go back to Buck Branch, and we'll kind of start fresh here on this property. I'll show you guys, first of all, I'll show you guys, just click on photos and it'll just bring up the pictures that I've got saved off of this property. Again, all the pictures on here are not all of the pictures total that I've got, but it's enough that we can play around with and you know, give you guys a really good idea of what Deerlab can do for you. But you can see we got pictures of several bucks here, and you'll notice too, well, right here, if you look under these pictures, the name Mulligan is showing up. There's another one down here. As we look around, there's going to be several pictures of this deer, and what I did was I tagged these photos with the name Mulligan. That's what we've named this deer, and he was a deer that we had seen mid pre-rut. It was well before the rut. One evening we were walking out of the stand. It was getting below light, and we seen this deer actually working his way towards us. And I had him at about 23 yards according to my rangefinder, and I passed on him. I be honest with you, excuse me, to be honest with you guys, I just misjudged him, and I thought he was a lot younger than what he is, and I let him walk. The next time I checked camera cards, I got a lot of pictures of him, and I realized that although he's not an old deer, he's certainly older than what I thought. And from then on, I was kind of praying for a second chance at that deer, so hence the name Mulligan. The second chance didn't present itself this year, but I am happy to say that Mulligan did make it through the season. We got pictures of him after the season was over. So that's good news for us, and I guess for Mulligan too. But anyways, like I said, to tag pictures, you can come up here, click tag photos, and you'll type in the name of the deer or whatever it is that you're wanting to tag, and then you'll go through your pictures and you'll click on every picture that's got that deer in them. So from then on, that deer will be figured into, or those pictures will all be figured into the results that you get when you do a profile on a specific deer. We'll show you how to do a profile in a little bit, but basically it's a way to hone in on what that one specific deer's doing, when he's doing it, and where he's doing it at, so you can get results on that deer and that deer alone. It's a great way to pattern specific deer, and like I said, say that maybe I don't even get a shot at Mulligan this coming season, but he makes it through the season. If I got more pictures of him and I keep adding tagged pictures of Mulligan, then the following year, all the information that we've got over a couple years of that deer are going to be figured in to the results I'm getting now, 2 years down the road of this deer. And it'll help you get a lot of information. What his tendencies have been over the span of his life may factor into what he's doing now, as a 5.5-year-old or whatever. So it's a great way to get a lot of information on that deer, what he's been doing his whole life, and what his tendencies are, and where the places that he likes to show up at certain times. So tagging pictures, even if it doesn't play into immediate success, it can certainly have a role in you harvesting that deer later on down the road. And as you see, that's why I've got pictures of this deer here tagged as young buck. I don't have a name for him yet, to be honest. He's not worthy of a name, in my opinion, yet. But he's a really young deer, and for a really young deer, he is showing some decent promise. I mean, he's nothing special right now, obviously, but as young as he is, in the way that he seems to be shaping up, in a couple years, he may be a superstar. We don't know. And so I went ahead and tagged him, because this next year, I would like to get some more pictures of him, and it may be helpful, 2 years down the road, to know what he was doing this past year. It may not be a benefit, and then again, it may make all the difference in the world. But one thing's for sure, I've got him tagged as young buck now, and that's something that I'll have information on going forward. To do a filter, we'll go ahead and, I'll go ahead and show you guys how to do a filter, which is, like I said earlier, it's a really cool way to figure out what times you need to be hunting what areas. So we're going to do this real vague, but let's just say, I'm wanting information on pictures taken from, we'll say, September 1st through, again, this is going to be really vague, but through about November 7th. And time taken, I could go in here and I could select whatever time, whatever time periods I'm interested in. I'm not going to do that for the sake of the filter that we're doing now, but you can go in, you can select specific times. You can come over here, you can select specific cameras. If you're wanting information filtered based on one camera, you can select it, but I'm going to leave it on any cameras, and it's just going to figure in all the cameras that I've got saved on this property. Weather conditions, you can come in here and they've got, breezy and foggy, dangerously windy. There's all kinds of options in here, so it can get really really detailed information. Moon phase, you come in here and select what moon phase you're wanting figured into it. Barometric pressure, whether it's rising, falling, how quickly it's doing it. The wind direction, wind speeds down here, humidity, temperature. There's a lot of information, as you can see, that's going to be figured into the results that you get. So anyways, this is going to be really vague, but I'm just going to put in some dates that I want filtered, and just click apply filter. And when I do that, and it's figuring my filter, these are the results I'm getting. And so this is going to tell me, what times these deer are showing up in front of what cameras. Again, it was real vague because of the limited information I requested, but as you can get an idea now what the filter can actually do for you, which is, it's just a really cool way to narrow down when you need to be hunting what spots. the profiles, we talked on that earlier. Let's go ahead and do a profile. Up here in the top, I'll click on the profile tab. We'll click add your first profile. And remember earlier I mentioned tagging pictures, and so that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to choose a tag, and we're going to do a profile on Mulligan. And so I'm going to come down here. Mulligan, as I drop down this tab, is this deer on your watching list, your hit list, or is he a deer that maybe you've already harvested? For the sake of this, he's just going to be on our watch list. And I'm going to go to save profile. Excuse me. As it does my my profile for me, you'll see it pops up here, and on the left you're going to have a lot of information. When Mulligan was last seen, it gives you the time and the date, the time frame when he's most active, the camera that he's most active on, and the cameras with activity. He's been on 2 of my cameras. And up here, again, because I didn't put in a ton of pictures of Mulligan, we're getting some pretty vague results, but that's my fault, just because I didn't put in a bunch of pictures. But you can see it's 50-50 on the times that he's showing up, from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. 50%, and the other 50% of the time was from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. So you know, if I was to put in a bunch of information, this pie chart would look a lot different. I'd have a lot more defined information on when I needed to be hunting that property. And down here, this is what cameras that he's showing up on. 25% of the time he's been on the lane camera, and 3/4 of the time he's been on camera 1, which, if you remember, is down there in the southwest corner of that bean field. So that gives me an idea. There's a 75% chance if I seen him, it was going to be down there on that camera. And so that gives you an idea of what stands you need to be hunting. And then this up here kind of gives you an idea of what time you need to be doing it. So the profiles are a really cool way to key in on what one specific deer is doing, and when he's showing up on your property. And it gives you a good way to narrow down when you need to be hunting that deer and how to go about it. So the other option that you've got up here is albums. And I don't have any albums saved, but we'll talk about the albums here in just a minute when we get done showing you guys around the site. As you guys look around on Deerlab, at first glance when you get on here, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of stuff that you guys can play around with and get results from on Deerlab. But it's a really easy site to maneuver around, and there's a bunch of great video tutorials on there that John and the guys have done that explain in depth how to do everything on the site, and they do a fantastic job of showing you guys how to do it and explaining the benefits of doing everything. So it's a real easy site to get familiar with. I've been on some sites in the past that are just some sites I've been on, but they're just not real comfortable to get around on. Deerlab is a very easy site to get familiar with. So I'm going to go ahead and close the computer, and we'll talk a little bit more about Deerlab. Okay, guys. I think you guys got a pretty good idea of what Deerlab's about and how you guys can use it to your benefit. I apologize for coughing in your ear. Seems like I always get choked at the worst possible time, but anyways, Deerlab's just it's a really cool website. It's a fantastic tool, and I'm really excited to get to use the tools and experience all the benefits during deer season. So I mean, yes, you still got to make the shot. You still got to be in a tree at the right time and execute to kill the deer. But Deerlab will do a fantastic job of increasing your chances of being there when you need to be. And really, that's, you know, that in my opinion, that's 90% of hunting is being in the right place at the right time. You know, it seems like sometimes making the shots, you know, the easy part. So I say that, and then I turn around and miss a deer. So, but anyways, like I said, you know, it's just another great tool to help us make sure that we're getting the most out of our information that our pictures are even giving us. You know, we spend a lot of money on cameras, and we spend a lot of time setting them up and checking cards. It would be a fairly small investment in my part, or in my opinion, to have something like Deerlab that helps you get a lot more information out of what your cameras are giving you. So, like I said, you're already spending the money and the effort of using the cameras. Why not take it a step farther and get the most information you can out of your camera. So another thing too, and I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I realize a lot of cameras out there, especially some of the older ones, don't have the same information on the information strip that some of the new cameras have. Don't worry about that. As long as your information on your camera has the date and the time, that's all the information that you need, because Deerlab has got access to, I believe they said, 20,000 weather centers around the country. So if your camera, all it says is this picture was taken on this date at this time, Deerlab will take the date and the time. They will get with one of the 20,000 weather centers around the country, and they will get the information from that weather center about the area where your camera is located at that time. And so what it is, you'll end up getting the same information that everybody else will. It's just that Deerlab's doing the legwork for you, and they're going to get with the weather center, and they're going to pull up based on where you entered your icon that your picture was, based on where that property is located. This is what at 10 a.m. on the 23rd, this is what the weather was like in that area. So you'll get the same kind of results that everybody else will get, which I think is really, really cool. So you don't have to have the latest and greatest camera out there to see the benefits from Deerlab. So again, I've just been really impressed with Deerlab. I wanted to show you guys around the site a little bit. I hope I did it justice. I know there's probably several things in there that I skipped over, but I wanted to be sure and hit on what, in my opinion, is the most important things when you're looking at patterning deer, which is the filters and, again, the profile too. So I wanted to be sure and hit those. And then the albums, I told you guys that we'd talk about the albums, and really the albums they're really cool. But as far as patterning deer or filtering when you need to be hunting, the albums really have little benefit, and factored into that. But what the albums are is it's a place where you can store your pictures, and then you have access to your pictures no matter where you're at. A prime example, say you go out with your buddies to dinner one night, and you guys are all talking about pictures that you got of deer and stuff, and your camera's at home, or your computer's at home, and man, I really wish I could show these guys the picture of this deer I've got. Well, now as long as you've got access to the internet, you can get on your smartphone or whatever. You can go to Deerlab, log in, access your albums, and there's all your pictures right there. So you don't have to be at home in front of your computer to look at your pictures. You can access them remotely from a smartphone or laptop or whatever. So again, just it's a really cool little tool that Deerlab offers to keep you in contact with your pictures anytime you need to be. And you don't have to be around your computer, in order to do it. So that's what the albums are all about. So again, when you figure in the albums, the profiles, the filters, all the information that weather-wise that's factored into all the results, Deerlab has just been really, really impressive, and I'm excited to get to share it with you guys. I'm also excited to get to use it this coming season. So I guess that'll wrap up the review on Deerlab. Their website is deerlab.com. We'll go ahead and put a link up down here for you guys. Head on over there and check them out. And like I said, they got several different memberships, several different price points. There's a lot of options. See if you can't find something that works for you. I know that you guys will enjoy using it. And until next time, for more product reviews, how-to videos, or anything else you can think of, check us out over at ikesoutdoors.com.